you know, and this is why I'm going to have to move on to something else. Because after 138,000 times hearing the same thing, it's much like Alice, 1997, when I first started at the front desk of the Omni Park House, and then moved to the concierge desk. And, well, even at the front desk, tourists would come in and they'd say, how do you get to Faneuil Hall? And I'd say, go across the street. There's a red line there. Follow it down to the right. And they'd say, oh, follow Yellow Brick Road. And I enjoyed it the first few times. And then 137,000 times later, 7 years later, I couldn't physically force myself to crack a smile when they said it. I had even gone past the times. There was a time when I was only there for about 5 years when I only thought of grabbing a hatchet from behind the front desk and just axe murdering the person and their entire family, all of whom were wearing lobster hats. And then eventually that even passed. So it was just, I was dead inside. I knew it was coming. It just killed me. And then they'd say things like, we wrote these down 22 years ago. I want to go to can you tell me how to get to the Legal Beagle? You know, the Regal Beagle, the Legal Beagle, you know, they meant legal seafood. It's just, and when you work in hospitality for long enough, it's just, you've just freaking.
I do. I didn't work in hotels, but I worked in generally stores, and I fulfilled my quota of directly interacting with customers by like age. I don't know.
Oh, that's the worst.
27. I like never needed to talk to another stranger ever again. I was all set. I was done.
In Boston,
and because you have to like perform it. Like we talk about bits, you have to perform bits all day long.
Yeah,
you do, and the person's in it with you, but they don't know they're in a bit because they think they're the first person to have ever come up with all this stuff.
Always,
but like that this is just a dance that we do, where you ask me how to find modern pastry, or sorry, they ask about Mike's pastry generally, but they ask how to find Mike's pastry, and look at the line, and then they say, oh, but it's so, and then you have to say like, oh, but it's so worth it. You're gonna love it. Like every time I have to do all these.
Right.
Bits
I don't think I even had a cannoli by 2003 when I was telling people how good modern pastry was. Yeah, you're right. You do. It's a form of, you know what it is? It's how corrupt societies happen, because they say to you, okay. And like if you're a concierge, especially because they think they're talking to an inside guy, and kind of they are, and so they'll sit down and say, "Okay, we don't want to go anywhere where any tourists are going. Any people here?
They want to go somewhere.
Yeah, we don't want to go anywhere where any of these people are going. Nowhere where they're going. We don't care. We don't care what's on what's in Where magazine. We don't care what's on the trolley tour. Where would you go? We want to know where you would go." Well, there's something a little bit like Ellis from Die Hard about it too. So it draws like this ire out in you, saying like even the cliche people are better than the people who think they're clever.
Well, right. I mean, it's the same people that ask the waiter or waitress what they would have.
Oh, well, yeah. They never do that. Never do that. They don't care. Don't ask if the special is good. They don't care. If somebody walked up to you when you asked that question, put a silencer on a 9mm and blew your brains out so that it was all over your appetizer, the server would not care. In fact, they'd be relieved, and hopefully they could run a credit card out of your belongings, whatever. Nobody cares. So, like, when the person says, okay, so, especially, well, here's the thing is, if somebody's tipping you, that's different. If they throw you a 20 or whatever it was back then, and then say, we want to know where you would go, then you don't hate them, because they've greased you. And if they just said, tell us where to go, we want to go where you go, and they don't tip you, you hate them. And if they come with their lobster hat and say, oh, we want some good seafood, can you tell us we're in Beantown for 2 days? We'd love to have what you guys have from the harbor. That's what we like from Boston, since we're here for 2 days from the harbor. And so that person... I used to that person wanting to douse him and his family with gasoline and then throw a match on them. But it's fine. But at the end of the day, the thing is that they're all getting sent to the same place, which is the place that bribes me for every person I send there. But it's the way you're sent. It's like it's the level of affection and how emotionally I've stamped you as you go to the place where you're going to get some fine food and assume it's the best in the world because I've told you, because you've used your Boston accent on me and I'm charmed. Or because,
oh my God, they talk like me. Wow.
Right. Or because, right, exactly. Or because you knew the inside lingo to ask where I would go. Or because you greased me, which makes me happier and pleased with you, but still you're going to the same place. All three, Lobster Hat guy and Grease the People guy are going to the same place. Grease the People guy, though, will get special attention. There's no doubt about that. You may even get a call ahead from saying, the guy who just greased me is coming, and can you take care of them, bring them to the front of the line, throw them a cocktail, etc. The point I bring this, the reason I bring all this up is that people on the left go back to the same cliches, and I'm almost sick of it. I'm almost at 7 years now of listening and enduring the same cliches in the same BS. You and I watched together, I think we watched it together in 2009. Obama was talking about illegal immigration in the country. And Obama said, we got to cherish our immigrants in this country. Immigrants gave us everything. Andrew Carnegie, the steel from coast to coast. And he went to Nikola Tesla, gave us the indirect current. What did he give us?
Alternating current.
Right over. Yeah. It's like, and he mentions like every really notable, brilliant Mensa captain of industry immigrant. And like those are not the people who are a problem. And I assume that they went through whatever legal process there was at the time. And so the left comes back with the same old thing and conflates. Whenever you mention, I have a problem with. Well, Steve Jobs is not an immigrant.
Isn't he like a something? I thought he was. They said he was.
Maybe he is. I don't know. But the whole thing is that we're talking about a guy with the Latin Kings MS-13 face tattoo.
His dad was an immigrant.
With the 6 teardrops, who's killed and raped 7 people. We're talking about that guy. But the left, they don't see. Nope, there is no that guy. Every immigrant, the concept of immigration to them is the most compassionate thing on the face of the earth. So everybody immediately gets a huge upgrade. Guy with a snake tongue who's killed 18 people? No. No, you know what that means if you talk about him? That means Nikola Tesla. And it's now, when it comes to the individuals, it's taken out of there, and then we go to the 30,000-foot view of immigration and what it brings. And so that brings us to Michelle Wu, who went in front of Congress today and had her $450,000 worth of prep, which got her the same course that Barack Obama said when he told us that we needed to have Nikola Tesla. And we're going to keep all the Teslas out if we don't take in all the immigrants. And it's so disingenuous, and it's such a poor and weak argument, and I'm so sick of it. But this is what she did, which is her way. And by the way, this is how you signal. If you're a big blue city mayor, this is how you signal to the illegal immigrant world and all the NGOs that we're open for business. We're standing strong. Keep sending them. Let me play this right here. And it's so freaking amazing. They ask her about illegal immigration and what it means and what it's doing and why is Boston a sanctuary city, and is it a sanctuary city, and why. They bring up the rapists and murderers and all the other people that the left loves to bring in. And she goes with this grand answer. This is a Nikola Tesla level answer.
We are the safest major city in the nation.
By the way, one of the contention from all the mayors who were hauled up on Capitol Hill today was that illegal immigration makes cities safer.
Right.
And ICE makes cities less safe. So that's where we are. Might as well just reverse everything. Reverse total polarity at once.
It's like how their thing is that cops make people less safe. Right? Like, they're like, oh, did you know that towns like Winchester, Massachusetts have actually less policing than Boston?
Right.
And so that's, what defunding the police looks like. Is a lot more like Winchester. And I hate to tell you guys, but we didn't start out with the police and then the crime happened.
No.
It went in the other direction. The police were a reaction to having the crime. But they love defying your expectations. And that's why it's the same as the people.
Well, not only that,
the people with the lobster hats asking what you would have. I don't want to go where all the other tourists go. Believe it or not, you're not going to believe this, but actually safe injection sites make cities much safer. Police make cities unsafe. ICE makes cities unsafe.
To
Illegal
a person.
Immigration. It's
to a
always
person.
They can never have the conventional wisdom. It always has to be like they've come up with a new and special thought. Unfortunately, it's the same new and special thoughts that the left has been having now for decades that turn out to be completely at odds with reality.
Absolutely. And their contention always is, oh, by the way, per capita, illegal immigrants do less crime than natural-born citizens. Did you know that? That they do less crime.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then, I guess you've given up your position that illegal immigration is an issue. You're saying, yeah, it's a thing, and it's good. Yeah. Ideally, they'll supplant the people who have been here because we're all murderers. They're coming in peacefully. Which is just look, this amazing canard that they always say.
By the way, when you're letting in people, though, the average number of murderers is not what matters. I don't care if they're lowering the average number of murders per capita in the United States. We should let in 0 murderers.
Right.
Immigrants should make us safer because we shouldn't be letting in any murderers or criminals.
Fewer murders come through the South.
We shouldn't let in a slightly lower average of murderers than we already have stateside. Well, you know what? We'll let in murderers as long as the percent is lower than our current percent, because that'll lower our overall percent. No, just don't let in the murderers. Like, I don't understand. This isn't one of those things where the percent is what counts. This is one of those things where, like, we would just, like, actually not to have as many murders.
Well, right. And also, they say that we can't crack down on illegals because if we crack down on illegals, Alice, then illegals will be afraid to call the cops
on the other illegals.
Oh. So, and then the other illegals, they'll be afraid to call the cops on the new wave of illegals, who will subsequently be afraid to call the cops on the other illegals, who will be afraid to call the cops on the other illegals. So the answer is to never call the cops, to not have ICE here, because not bring the ICE here, or law enforcement, because you can't crack down illegal immigration, because if you do, then they won't call the cops. Now, that could all be eradicated immediately if you get rid of all the illegals or prevent them from coming in, because those of us who are illegal, we can call the cops all day. As a matter of fact, sometimes when I try to take a screenshot, I call the cops on my freaking cell phone and can't disable the thing, and the cops have visited here and said, we just got to see us. Can you step outside for a second? I'm like, oh. Yes. So, by the way, my worry is that they're going to come in the house and condemn the house and take the kids away. My worry is not that I'm going to be sent to a Guantanamo or a detention center. That's why you're supposed to get, if you don't have birthright citizenship, you're supposed to get legal status or citizenship. Mm-hmm. That's why you do that, because you have all these benefits. You can call the cops left and right. You don't have to worry about that stuff. So, let me continue with Michelle Wu, who's going to hit a bunch of these. Flag waving to everything. She does everything in this answer about the scourge of, and why she's a sanctuary city, the scourge of everything. She does everything but dissuade one illegal from coming here.
We are the safest major city in the nation. We are home to the greatest healthcare, the greatest colleges and universities, the most. I
challenge. I'm sure on paper, certainly there's a lot of colleges and universities around Massachusetts. It's neither here nor there. You know, I got to shut up. I shouldn't step on her because Alice, she's going to attribute all these things to something in a second.
Oh. We are the safest major city in the nation. Mm-hmm. We are home to the greatest healthcare, the greatest colleges and universities, the most advanced innovators, and the 2024 world champion Boston Celtics. We are the cradle of democracy and the city of champions. We are all of these things not in spite of our immigrants, but because of them.
Okay.
I don't think the biotech sector is all illegals.
And by the way,
There are a lot of immigrants.
she's back to the immigrants.
There are a lot of immigrants in
But-
our universities and hospitals and biotech and all
Exactly.
these things, but they're not the same immigrants.
Right. Immigrants don't need sanctuary cities. Immigrants can have the normal cities, but it's not a sanctuary. But once again, it's conflating. When you say to Barack Obama, the guy who you say, but this guy killed somebody in the middle of a cornfield in Iowa and raped her, and then he says, Nikola Tesla was an immigrant. Yeah, okay, that's fine.
That's great. But yeah, no, to them, there's no possible way that we cannot have Venezuelan gangs murdering people unless we also kick out the people here, like on student visas for physics at MIT and stuff. Like, that's not, we can't, we just can't tell the difference. It's impossible to know the difference. You can't tell.
Well, yes. And also, these institutions
Patients
that she's
eating
talking
cats
about.
in hotels,
Right.
that's, you can't, there's no way to know
And also, these.
if that's the same thing.
Right. Also, these institutions she mentions, the greatest healthcare system and the greatest colleges, and it's not despite the immigrants, it's because of them. Challenge. Challenge. If you're going to say John Harvard was an immigrant because he came off a boat from England, sure, but you never categorize guys like that as poor immigrants.
William Shattuck was an immigrant.
They categorize people like that as invader colonizers. Mm-hmm. But in this term, but now he's an immigrant. Now his whiteness has been scraped from him. Here's another thing: if she was a white mayor, and I don't know, did she count as white? I don't know the rules. I assume not.
No.
If she was a white man mayor, and she said that the Boston Celtics are the world champions not despite being immigrants, but because they are immigrants.
1 in 7 signers of
That's Mark wants to know how many illegals play for the Celtics.
Well, not only that, Alice, were the people in the slave ships immigrants?
No, I would say not.
Yeah, I would think if you were a white mayor, then you'd be answering for that by the Boston Globe right now. Mm-hmm. Immigrants. Signers of the...
but because of them.
Ooh, that's a
1
tough
in
one.
7 signers of the Declaration of Independence were immigrants.
Were they?
Now, if you're telling me that the people coming up the southern border with the face tattoos who are human trafficking, if they're just like John Hancock, then I'm missing it, because that's not what I'm seeing Bill Malugin talk to as they're coming up. But 1 in 7 said, yeah, Michelle, those immigrants who signed the Declaration of Independence, that's different. Mm. You have not mentioned yet one of the problem immigrants. None of those people have to hide, need your sanctuary city. Can you name one? How about one of the people in one of the hotels that's raping his daughter? How about one of those?
Can you name anybody that, and you can see smarter politicians, even if I don't like them, have backed away from some of that stuff. Like Maura Healey essentially backed away from condemning any of the stuff ICE was doing, pretty much. Because she saw that the people they were grabbing were, like, not good people.
Well, yes.
But, like, if you can you name one person that ICE has grabbed that was making Massachusetts a better place, Michelle? Like, really?
Was there any of the Celtics rounded up? I don't know.
I mean, but
I assume
honestly,
not.
like, can anybody find one example? Because I have yet to hear about one, and I tend to think that if the media could find one, I would think that they're trying to find one, and if they could find one, we would have all heard about it by now. I don't think anybody on the left can find one person that the Trump administration has deported that people think should stay here. I have not heard of one, like, materials scientist or data systems engineer or, like, nobody, they haven't rounded up anybody like that. I haven't heard of one case that's like that. So if all these cases are out here, if that's what's happening, then the media is really sleeping on it, which seems unusual for them.
Alice Shattuck, you have stumbled onto something that's incredible, actually. The last administration, we learned from what's the lady who ran for president? Danielle Marber. What was her name? Venn diagrams. Danielle Venn diagrams. was married
Kamala
to the guy.
Harris,
Okay,
like-
yes, Kamala Harris.
You
you-
couldn't think of Kamala Harris?
If you, her husband looks a little bit like the snowman on Frozen.
Okay.
He does. Remember she said, when she said she was going to the border because there was all these crossings in the border and they were going between points of entry and they were pouring into the border. And they said, are you going to the border? She said she's been to the border. And they said, you've been to the border? She says, no, but I haven't been to Europe either. And then she said, and Lester Holt said, well, why don't you go to the border? And she then said, well, I'm going to find the root causes in Central America and South America, the root causes down there to why these people are coming.
Looks like Trump found the root causes in like
Well,
2
hold
months, by the way.
on. Hold on, Alice. Why are we keeping all these people in here who have come up through the border? All these framers of the Constitution, all the people who built the health care and built these colleges, all the people who created the championship basketball teams, why are we selfishly keeping them up here? We should send them right back down to live out their greatness potential.
True.
Build colleges in healthcare institutions and championship NBA basketball teams. Do all the brilliant stuff down there. Why don't they get a Tesla? Send them all down there.
Brain drain.
Yes, that's exactly right. Send them down there. Let them have these things. But she's not done.
On the last 4 Red Sox rosters to win a World Series, 1 in 5 were immigrants.
That's low. That is low. That is low, 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 low. So, among other things, there is no... Can you imagine that, to win a World Series? Even the way it's said, the last 5 to win a World Series, the ones between all those years who didn't win World Series, natural born Americans. Natural born Americans.
I assume they probably
5
had
and 5.
immigrants too.
No.
A lot of
No. They
baseball
were natural born
players are
Americans.
immigrants.
No. Only the immigrants helped. Immigrants are also a tricky thing when you have a Dominican national who plays and lives here part-time and has a seasonal visa through baseball. Facilitated through baseball. That's an interesting way to say immigrant. Yeah, it is a guy, a huge power hitter, pitcher, whatever it is, from another country coming over here, which I don't think is typical. I don't think that typical immigration works when you have professional sports athletes who really have no global allegiance to any place.
Has Trump started deporting MLB players, by the way?
I most of them. Like, who's a great? You don't know who it is. Who's a great guys? Who's a great reliever for the Mariano Rivera, big Trump guy. I think he's naturalized now as a citizen, but for the most, I think he was he Dominican?
Trump's gonna deport him, I assume.
But for her to say that people from other parts of the world are doing great things here, and you see, that's not the problem. That is not the problem. That is, once again, Mariano Rivera and Manny Ramirez, Pedro Martinez never needed to use a sanctuary city. Pedro Martinez was never afraid to call the police. Okay? He never had a problem with any of this stuff. These people all have a legal status of one kind or another. She is so effing disingenuous and will not, and this is, the NGOs see this, and they say, oh, I see, she's using the coded language of Nikola Tesla. What would we be without him? And they see that and they say, oh, I see, Boston's open for business. And she was defying people, by the way. She went after Tom Homan. It was just ridiculous. But listen, this is not over.
Of all the faculty at Boston University to have earned a Nobel Prize, all but 1 were immigrants. Today,
they can stay. Yeah. Michelle.
Nobel Prize winners will take.
They can stay.
1 in 4 Boston residents were born somewhere
By the way, this is also a complete and total and utter straw man. Nobody said immigrants can't do anything here and they all suck. Nobody said anything about immigrants, as a matter of fact. They said stuff about illegal immigrants,
right.
Which is why she's talking about immigrants.
Of course.
Like, she's talking... We're saying we need to stop the rapists. She then says Rob Lowe makes love to a lot of women. Lovingly. Ronald Reagan lovingly had 2 wives. It's like, no, we're not talking about the guys who are having sex and legally. We're talking about the guys who are having sex where there's no consent. All sorts of lovemaking happens in Boston. No. It's not the lovemaking. It's because the conflation is so freaking disingenuous. But she paid $450,000 for it, and it's going to work with some people. Because this is the same
Does
line
this
that I've
work?
been hearing since 1997.
But does it work with as many? Do you feel like the number of people that it works with is going down? Because I feel like people are starting not to listen to stuff like this.
I mean, it's a massive diversion that allows you to go hyperspace into a rah-rah patriotic speech.
Mm-hmm.
Else, most have jobs, many have kids. All of them chose this country as their home because, like my mom and dad, they believe that here, where you've been doesn't limit where you're going. The strength of your character has nothing to do with the color of your passport.
He slit the throat of the girl he was raping, Michelle. That's what we're talking about here. This is, I'm not sure you understand here. Your parents are not going to get rounded up, Michelle. And you're not either. You're not the problem. Unless you're an illegal immigrant right now, in which case, then you've got some explaining to do, but I don't think she is.
How hard you work matters more than where you were born. That wherever you're from, if you pitch in, look out for your neighbors, and cheer for the home team, you can build a better future here for the people you love.
I noticed that some of her friends cheering for the home team are waving Mexican flags. Oh, yes, they are cheering for the home team. That's right.
So to every one of my neighbors back in Boston, know this.
Ooh.
You belong here. This is your home. Boston es tu hogar. Boston, c'est la caillou.
And there was one more she did in an Asian accent. All of my neighbors, you know you've got a home in Boston. Boston is your home. By the way, except for those people who were protesting on her city block, those people had to be moved off. Those people are not welcome near her.
Right.
That's where we are. That's where we are intellectually. That's where this argument is. It is so freaking disappointing. I'm sick to think about it. God, I'm asking my good friend Vladimir Putin, Vladimir Putin, to please nuke us now. Please nuke us now. We're not going to be ready. We don't have this stuff.
What about our Golden Dome missile defense system?
That's right. It's coming, isn't it?
It's like the Iron Dome, only more golden.
Okay, I want to go hit some other sound bites that just make me throw up. This is very interesting from Pete Buttigieg, Alice. This is a great observation I hadn't heard yet.
It's part of this worldview that's basically telling everybody we're going to get you a bigger slice of a smaller pie. But he doesn't really care whether that comes true. Remember, for him, it really is a little disturbance. If eggs are $10 and you're a billionaire, that's a little disturbance for you, but not for most people.
Eggs, $10.
Wait, did Trump
Prices.
make the price of eggs go up?
He had inflation for the last 4 years. Trump caused that inflation with the Inflation Reduction Act. Mm-hmm. And doing the second stimmy thing, as a matter of fact. That's exactly right. That was Trump.
And the bird flu, all the birds he killed for the bird flu.
Yeah, well, mostly that was just fun. That was Eric and Donald Jr. just going out poaching.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump called Liz Warren, and these you guys have done you've been through all those State of the Union things. He called her Pocahontas last night, and so this hits a sensitive spot. I didn't know this would be a thing. With the gay constituency in the country.
The idea of a president standing at that rostrum and throwing a slur at a United States senator in the middle because you disagree on policy is absolutely ridiculous. So,
Since when is Pocahontas a slur?
It would be a slur if she were Indian, but the whole point is that she's not Indian. So it's not a slur. It would be arguably a slur. If she were Indian and you're saying all Indian chicks are Pocahontas, that's fine. But she can't. Pocahontas doesn't count as an insult.
It's kind of a
her.
racially tinged insult, but I think of slur as like a bad word.
Well, that's what he's using it as because it's supposed to evoke racial pain. But the thing is that she can't feel that racial pain because she's a whitey.
Right.
So you can call me what can I say?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I think. Slur is something that you can't say in any context. Whereas Pocahontas,
what's a safe racial
Pocahontas
slur
is
to
a
say?
Historical figure. It's a word that you're allowed to use.
Right,
it's
but if
not
somebody
like,
calls you
a slur to me is a word that you can't use in any context.
Right, but Alice, so
appropriately.
if you take somebody's parking space and they say "F you, Pocahontas." Does that hit you somewhere special?
I mean, it's an insult, but it's not.
Well, you know because it comes with an "F you" in a certain intonation in the voice that it's an insult. But Pocahontas itself is. You'd have to pull over and do research to know how you're supposed to be hurt by that. Is that because did Pocahontas sleep with a white guy? She toured England, right? Is that somebody else?
That's her.
Is it because you toured England? It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
I can't think of a one for a guy that would be the same. Is there? I don't know. I guess somebody could call me an Uncle Tom. I am an Uncle Tom, technically, I guess, but it still doesn't hurt like it's supposed to. I am an uncle, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So there was a limit.
I mean, not by blood.
Right. Okay. Just by my YouPorn handle. Way to go along with it, Joe Callis. Thank you very much. Jesus. Can we get a third person here with a sense of humor, possibly? Okay, this is another thing. I'll just get your response to this, Pocahontas.
There's no capacity that's too
Congressman,
much.
respectfully, I'm the mayor of Boston.
He said, "Is there a limit in the number of illegals that Boston can have?"
No capacity that's too
Congressman,
much.
respectfully, I'm the mayor of Boston. I don't get to decide who comes into our country and where they go after that. Our job is to keep people fed and healthy and safe when they arrive in our city.
Do you want to see how that's working out? Go to Mass and Cass in Boston or Boston Common and see how being taken care of and fed is working out. Here's what she says. This is how she wraps it up, which is just, we're back to platitudes. It's once again off topic, which is all she spent time doing today.
If you wanted to make us safe, pass gun reforms. Stop cutting Medicaid. Stop cutting cancer research. Stop cutting funds for veterans. That is what will make our city safe.
Yes, thank you. I yield back.
I was just told that it was the safest city in the country.
Well, Trump's making it unsafe.
Oh, I see. All right, let me see what else we have here. Oh, this is forget it. It has to do with it says one of these reps is absolutely nuts. Catherine Clark?
I am angry today. I am angry what I saw, that president of the United States who ran and had people vote for him because he said he was going to cut their costs. He was going to make sure they had a chance at the American dream, has come in with an unelected, richest man on earth and taken a chainsaw to everything we care about.
And on and on. They're putting on this act that...
It's all they have.
There's nothing...
That's better than the people that most of their party. At least it's something. Taking a chainsaw to our benefits, Medicaid, Medicare, taking a chainsaw to jobs, taking a chainsaw to egg prices. It's might as well. It's friggin' weak. Considering this guy has stopped the border flow in a month, it's weak. It's something, but might as well. If you want.
Well, but they like that. I mean, it's. In a way, it was harder for people like Michelle Wu to defend the sanctuary city stuff when Biden was president and we were getting a lot of illegals. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, he's solving problems that they need solved, but they don't want to have to take hard positions to solve them, right? And, like, honestly, there's been so much said about this speech and all of it, and all the polling and all the focus groups indicate that everyone who watched it liked it. I mean, everyone. As much everyone as you can get in political polls, right? Like 70 to 75% of people thought the speech was great. Trump was great. They agree with his goals. They thought it was inspiring. He did a good job. Like, however you ask the question, people liked it. And them being a bunch of petulant, whiny brats over it and still acting like he's some sort of fascist dictator and is doing something really terrible every time he does anything. I mean, it's showing they haven't learned anything.
Can I ask you something else? Is there something, if I type something in all caps, for fuck's sake, is there a way to make it not all caps again?
No.
Oh! Oh! Just keep going.
I mean, when you're like coding something, there's a way to do that, but not like that. No, there's not. But I'm sorry that happened to you. I used to always wonder that when I was a kid if there was a way. But yeah, usually no. In most software, there's not a way. But Splash says in the chat, Boston needs gun control and access to health care. That doesn't exist here, clearly.
Okay, I want to hit this. This is another Democrat, another Boston psychotic. It's interesting because I heard Rich Lowry or somebody was saying today that the Democrats need to have a message, and they should make it a sane and sober, not like Catherine Clark, who's an insane person who's got kids who are afraid of the climate change and getting shot in a movie theater and think they're boys or girls, whatever. But they need somebody serious who can make the case for, hey, we're still the party of working people, and you guys are being underserved by these Republicans. Let's make sure we get wages up and prices down. And it's funny because I think about, like, in Massachusetts, when's the last time we had that? And it occurred to me, last time we had that was replaced, defeated in a ballot box by this.
Without objection, so ordered. We've put it in the record.
I have an internet.
You have what?
Mr. Chair, can I have several articles. I need to.
This is Diana Presley trying to enter some articles into the record. Mm-hmm. Now, you'll find out what she's doing is trying to enter some commentary into the record in order to disrupt the media. You'll see.
Hear them. Let me just go.
By the way, this is an example of, in progressive thought, 1 + 3 = 27 million.
What the articles are. What they speak to.
What's the next article?
Let me proceed. Data from Texas shows that U.S.-born Americans commit more rape and murder than immigrants.
Listen, this trend of you all trying to get thrown out of committee so you can get on MSNBC is going to end. We're not going to put up with it.
This is my procedural right as a member of this committee.
You can go with Mr. Frost and Mr. Green.
I am reclaiming my time.
That's what you want. No. Ms. Presley, I have been very accommodating to you. Mr. Sobrano,
and I take particular umbrage as a survivor of sexual violence. I will enter into the record. This is my right. Thank you.
No.
She takes particular umbrage as a survivor of sexual violence.
What does that have to do with what's
I'd
happening?
like to know.
In
You
this?
tell me. You're a woman, Alice.
Did he by chance also rape her in this?
Oh, I didn't say that? Yeah, he's raping her while we're watching this.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I don't know, like, what one thing has to do with the other then.
But you know that with progressives, it's right there. It's part of... You can't talk over a trans black woman. It's part of the unwritten rules that, okay, don't let me... I didn't want to use this, but I have huge victimhood points here, and bang. And so you can't go over procedural problems with me. I get to nuke every bit of process.
You can let me do what I want the easy way, or I can explain to you that I'm actually a big victim, and then you have to let me do what I want, no matter what.
Yes, even though if it has nothing to do with anything.
Can't.
Yes,
Sorry.
I take particular umbrage. My uncle tripped into a tree shredder. So I get to enter this into the record.
Like, what's wrong with them?
I don't know. Why aren't we... This, if all nights we should be drinking, it should be tonight else. Oh. Okay, where are we here?
Should we go to the chat?
I just want to make sure there's nothing that I missed. Okay, that brings us
We
to the
didn't
last
talk
one.
about Melrose.
Oh, yeah. Okay, go ahead. Can you read it? Do you have it? I want me to read it.
Did you send it? Which thing did you send?
I sent it in both, actually. Both.
Yes. So, Melrose, it turns out, has bigger problems than people tagging Teslas with swastika stickers. Grace posted in the Melrose community group.
Let the record show. Mm-hmm. This steady stream of show prep brought to you by Melrose Facebook pages are not anything I go looking for. I simply go from Twitter to Facebook, and bang, there it is.
The insane people are just out and proud on Facebook. Good evening. Fighting for Black Lives Matter in our neighborhood, Melrose, is having a virtual open house on Thursday, March 6th at 7 p.m. This meeting is an opportunity for people who are interested to learn more about the group's anti-racism work. Why are you?
I'm having trouble grasping the virtual open house.
I think it means it's a Zoom meeting.
Yes. So it's not at all an open house.
It's just, you can come on a Zoom call and we'll tell you about how racist you are.
No cup of joe.
It's an exciting opportunity to be told you're racist on Zoom.
Yes, good. Can you tell me now? I'm in box 7B.
This meeting is an opportunity for people who are interested to learn more about the group's anti-racism work. This meeting will include an encore presentation of the state of systemic...
How many people of interest so far do you think own pussy hats?
A lot. A lot.
Everyone.
How many people will be wearing masks on the Zoom meeting, do you think?
93% of the people.
This meeting will include an encore...
Do you think there'll be anybody in the Zoom meeting who might happen to mention that they are a victim of SA?
Probably.
And as such, get to speak next.
This meeting will include an encore presentation of the state of systemic racism in Melrose, which was first presented at the Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service on January 20th. So in case you missed that a month ago and haven't known where to find out how racist Melrose is in the meantime, there's I assume no update where they haven't made progress towards doing anything about any of this horrible racism that's in Melrose, but it's still all valid, I assume.
So, Alice, hold on. Mm-hmm. You're saying that's an encore presentation?
It means they're giving the same presentation. I guess not enough people were concerned the first time, so they didn't get enough attention on the presentation.
You would see when they say, okay, now that we've had 2 hours to talk about the systemic racism in town, we're going to our encore presentation. You would see in box 7B...
Key statistics from that presentation based on data from 2023.
It's from Melrose, Massachusetts.
Melrose, Massachusetts. A quite liberal town. You should find out what % voted for Kamala Harris. You want to see how anti-racist they are. But the meeting will include an encore presentation. Key statistics from the presentation based on data from 2023 include, this was the most recent year data were available. Black students were disciplined at 9.3 times the rate of white students.
Okay, if black students were disciplined at
9.3 times the rate of white students.
Okay.
Black students had no classroom teachers who looked like them. I mean, that sounds...
So thus, the discipline, I assume.
That's probably why. It's probably people with internalized racism who need to...
he must be breaking the rules. He doesn't look like me. Steve, detention.
There are students in here who don't look like me. Someone call the school resource officer. Let's see. Black students had no classroom teachers who looked like them. Sounds like Melrose should try and hire some black people then. I mean, I don't know. They changed the mascot.
How many should look like them?
I don't know.
Why should anybody look like... By the way, so the fat 300-pound female social study teacher and the skinny 17-year-old senior male who's tall, those two look enough like each other that that'll work.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, he doesn't get the detention.
No.
He's good. Okay, good.
Black individuals comprised 17% of the arrest records in Melrose, which is disproportionate to the black population of Melrose of 2%.
Good. Wait, say that again. What's happening?
Black individuals comprised 17% of arrest records in Melrose, which is disproportionate to the black population of Melrose, which is 2%.
Okay, so that could be one of two things. One, a lawless racism in the streets day to day. Or two, black people in Melrose are committing a hell of a lot more percentage of the crimes. Is number 2 listed there anywhere?
No.
The number of overall crimes?
I assume the
overall detentions, the reason for the detentions? No?
No.
Okay.
Well, I assume there's not that many disciplinary actions per year. They should pull them all with anonymized information and explain which of those disciplinary actions they think should be undone.
So... are disciplinary actions against white kids, are those fair or unfair?
I assume fair.
Okay, so disciplinary actions against black kids, are those fair or unfair?
Unfair.
Okay.
Just checking.
As
are the arrest records.
Okay, so some are absolutely cool. Those are fine.
Yeah. I mean, what else could it be? There's no...
Right. No, okay.
There's no chance that... from 2018 to 2023, black applicants trying to buy a home in Melrose were 48% more likely to have their mortgage application denied than white applicants.
That is... As a couple with stellar credit and FICO score, we can tell you that definitely...
They asked us, they said when we applied to buy our house, they were like, are you white? Oh, wow.
Yeah, we had what was it? It's a FICO, right? Is that it?
Your credit score.
Yeah, ours was 4.1, and then we said we were white, and they bumped us up. And they said, forget it. You're 8.3 now. You're good.
No, that's not
not how it works?
No. Credit scores are like numbers like 765, like things
No. I meant the thing where you buy the house.
The rate?
Forget it.
The
Let's
mortgage
move on.
rate?
Let's move on. People will know.
Like your APR?
Let's go. Don't worry about it. People
you
will
want
know.
that to be lower.
People will know what's going on.
I don't know that.
Move along. So does anybody in this virtual open house, get to ask? I have a question, just a very devil's advocate question here. Let me know if I'm out of bounds here. Is it possible that that there's a problem with the behavior of some of the black people in town? Are they allowed to ask that?
No, of course not. Of course not. In the year
Can you
ahead,
imagine like how really white supremacist it is to take away all agency from people? No, to stop it. They're not able to control themselves. Is really what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, you can't treat them like we do the white kid. They don't.
Mm-hmm.
They can't. Let them. There should be special markings on their cars so that way they can. It is so freaking like supremacist. It really is.
It's crazy.
They can't be expected to follow the laws.
Meanwhile, the same people will demand more policing at the crosswalk down the street from their house because the cars go too fast there.
Right. Imagine that.
So, but what
being
if
both ends of the problem?
They demand that the police do more traffic stops, and then they're mad about who the police are stopping in the traffic stops.
Right. Yeah, and if you have a kid clocking kids from age 11 to age, really, until he goes to prison, nowhere along the lines do you try to correct the kid. It's everything around the kid, the system and the environment and systemic racism that's doing it.
Yeah.
Okay. He gets to keep punching. He has nothing else. Okay.
So that's update in Melrose.
That's freaking amazing. Amazing. Okay, let's do the chat, shall we?
Yeah.
Hi, Steve from Merrimack.
Hey, Steve.
Holy cow, Tom.
What?
You really are just the worst when it comes to thinking you know something when you don't.
Incorrect.
I said at the end of my message yesterday, the Wild Bunch.
Yes. Lee Marvin, Marlon Brando.
Is the greatest American movie ever made. And then you proceed to say, oh, yeah, I've seen it. You know, Marlon Brando.
Yes.
And blah, blah, blah.
Lee Marvin. Correct.
That's the Wild One, you nincompoop. That's a motorcycle movie from like 1956.
That is The Wild Bunch.
The Wild Bunch is the greatest American film ever made. 1969, directed by Sam Peckinpah. A Western starring William Holden, Ernest Borgnine, Warren Oates, Ben Johnson.
Did you know this?
Edmund O'Brien. Oh.
I don't think so.
God, you're terrible.
I don't think that exists. You're thinking of the Brady Bunch or something. It's the Wild Bunch is Lee Marvin, Marlon Brando, motorcycles. I have not heard this. If there was a famous good movie about cowboys, then I would know it. Correct.
He called her Pocahontas to her face.
Yeah.
Brilliant, President Trump. Absolutely brilliant.
I think that's absolutely fine. I don't think there's anything. She deserves it. For her doing it is more obscene than anybody calling her that. What she did, to fraudulent.
Of course.
Yeah.
People should point out that she faked a fake identity for affirmative action her entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And has never been in any kind of trouble for it, apologized for it, anything.
Correct.
Hey guys, Paul in the car.
Hey, Paul.
Hey, Paul.
I guess here's my quick perspective on this, and you know, you guys know me. I think, well, at least a little bit. If my shadow even leaned a little bit left, I'd be embarrassed of what we saw last night, mind you. Sorry, with that address to Congress. The left is so pathetic.
Yes.
That group of human beings is like even worse than the people they represent. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I know these things are political grandstanding where, yeah, we boo and yell. I mean, geez, the right did it to Biden. But to not show any emotion or care for, you know, that segment, not even a segment, but that series of, you know, acknowledgments and recognitions to Lake and Riley, Jocelyn and Gary, that poor boy with the brain cancer. I mean, holy smokes.
DJ.
I mean, if that were my team, I'd be thoroughly embarrassed. I mean, it's completely pathetic, and they're never going to figure it out, which is great. You know, every time they get a chance, they ruin it. So let them keep going. But holy smokes!
Yeah,
what an embarrassment. Thanks, guys.
Like,
Thanks,
I
Paul.
so agree, Paul. And I'm almost like, I've heard a lot of like commentators and stuff being like outraged by their terrible behavior. I'm like not even outraged at this point because it's like pathetic and lame, and
It is, but
I mean, they're horrible for doing it in the room, sitting on their hands when this kid with brain cancer is being on it, like obviously, but it's so like they're just so like this all the time and this horrible all the time that it's at this point it's just I like don't even really care what they do. They're so lame and pathetic, and I hope they do. Like Paul says, I hope they continue not to learn anything and continue down this road.
And all these scowly old purple-haired, disgusting-looking...
Catherine Clark's yelling at everybody.
And all these
like
hags up. It was disgusting. But there's something more to it, Alice, and I think this goes to the core of what's in the heart of people. And... fine, they decided, okay, we're going to show solidarity by not standing up for anything Trump says. Fine, I get it. And we're going to show cohesion in the party by all doing the same thing, in showing that we're sober and we're not going to be part of a political sideshow. Fine, I get it. But when the dad of the boy with brain damage, who's disabled now, the small black boy, the 12-year-old who wants to be a cop, when he's lifted in the air and is emotionally bowled over by seeing people to his face clap.
Yeah.
Are you 40 feet away from that kid gonna not clap with your sour look? And as an adult with esteem in this chamber, look at him and scowl like you did into his face?
Yeah, it's bizarre. And it gets at a point that I think I think people have been talking about recently, but I don't think we did, which was the like JD Vance. There's a whole like Catholic thing. Which, I'm not Catholic, so I'm gonna get it wrong, but it's a concept that's in lots of Christianity, which is the like love your neighbor thing that the left takes to mean like we as a country have to have this policy where we let in Venezuelan gang members into the United States and stuff, but that's not actually like your neighbor. And neither is necessarily like people who are like you, but your neighbor is the person who's in front of you right now, right? And the left uses as an excuse some sort of like abstract love that comes from somewhere else that doesn't actually involve like how they treat people and deal with people face to face, which is so much more of the critical thing and that's why this is important, this idea that, like, of course you love more, like, your kids that are in the house with you, and because your job is to love the people that God is putting right in front of you right now. And loving them means helping them whatever way you can. It doesn't mean that you're going to like go advocate for policies that do something 3,000 miles from you. Because I mean, while that might it might be a noble cause, I don't know, but that's not a love thing.
Right.
The actions that we're asked to do, that we're duty bound to do, are the things that are like right here, right now, immediacy, right? It's how you treat people around you. And the left has for a long time taken this other type of abstract love that doesn't really require much from them as an excuse to be horrible to people in person.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is exactly the wrong takeaway to have about all this.
Absolutely. And they think they're being horrible in person out of a sense of compassion for an other who's not there. That's like the two...
Right.
When I was washing our Greyhound, cooling her off with a hose, and these two very chunky, bulky ladies with military Elvis haircuts walked by and then walked back and said, "Why are you spraying that dog?" It's like you always assume I'm doing the worst, right?
Oh, hey, Tom, I heard you talking about movies the other night. Not a huge movie guy. I mean, I love movies.
Yeah.
Certain movies that I've seen dozens of times, but, you know, I don't know all the ins and outs. But I will say, if you want a recommendation,
yes,
I would definitely check out Human Centipede. Jeez. It's a commentary on man's struggle with his own id, ego, superego. It's a story about resilience. It's about community for sure. Definitely community coming together. And oddly enough, it's also about medicinal innovation. So I think it's one to definitely check out. I would say before you check it out, you might want to read the Google description.
I see it right here.
Just saying.
I see it right here. Maybe we'll say a sight unseen, just show the kids this weekend, shall we?
Good idea.
The Human Centipede. You're a sick bastard for knowing that this thing exists, Tim. The film concerns a deranged German surgeon who kidnaps 3 tourists and conjoins them surgically, mouth to anus, forming the eponymous Human Centipede. You're a sick bastard, Tim, for knowing that. That is highly disturbing. Oh, God. We are going to rent it, though. Okay.
Tom, how crazy is too crazy? I mean, Jasmine Crockett is absolutely a smoke show. But is she too crazy? Like, is she in that AOC world now where, you know, she's definitely beautiful, but can you put up with the craziness? I mean, I don't know. That's the only drawback to that woman is the lunacy.
I find her attractive too, Steve. My only thing is I don't know how much of her appendages come off.
Like hair, nails, stuff like
that.
Yeah. That's what you mean, like, eyelashes.
What am I like? How much is machine and
probably
how much
all 3 of those, I think.
Yeah, so I do worry. AOC is unfortunately she's gotten a credit downgrade. BU's the pride of BU. Unfortunately, she's how would you say it, Alice? Say it.
No.
Yes.
You like me and I'm fat, so I don't know.
I had higher expectations for her.
Hey, Tom, sticking with that movie theme.
Yeah.
There is actually a genre, if you will, that I am quite familiar with. I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I'm very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
And let's see, the director was Greg Dark, starred Ginger Lynn.
Okay.
And I'm going to recommend from 1985.
Yep.
New Wave Hookers, the original.
Okay.
Excellent movie. Great social commentary, too.
I do believe him.
Is that a pornographic film?
It is, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
New Wave Hookers. I actually did, in around 1985, actually, I did manage to get my paws on a Ginger Lynn VHS tape. So, yeah, I was a fan of Ginger Lynn. There's no doubt about that. No doubt about that. New Wave Hooker. I've never seen a full-length movie like that. I don't not really see the... That's a whole different conversation, actually. There's a reason why they make them short, I think. I don't know personally, but other people tell me. But good. We'll watch that. For the whole family again, too, else.
Just so you know, when I was listening to your podcast, I had a pickleball paddle, and on one side I wrote etc. and on the other side I wrote right.
So he could hold it, Alice, during the State of the Union. I have now eliminated my etc. Crutch, Alice. Those days are over, but you are still rife with right, I have noticed, and so has the audience. Those people who aren't wordsmiths like myself.
Well, thank you so much for putting up with me, you guys. I appreciate it so much. If you want to join us in the chat, everyone's there. Trish is there, Mark and Steve from Merrimack, and Charm from Florida, and Splash. Everybody's in the chat. Julie and Fell, I'm scrolling back. You guys were talking a lot today. You can do that at patreon.com/burnbarrel. If you like listening for free, go to burnbarrelpodcast.com.
C'est la vie.